guys, welcome back to the Jenks Island podcast, the only NFL podcast where you get your takes from a washed-up Division III cornerback and his friends. I'm your host, Grayson Jenkins, joined again by my good friends and co-hosts Ty and Sterb. I hope you guys all out there had a good Thanksgiving, spent some time with your families, watched some good football. This was a good slate of football this past week, and hopefully we have another good slate ahead. Anyways, this week we're going to be breaking down our division winners. We're going to be predicting those, each of us giving our picks for each division, because there's a few close divisions right now. So it's a lot of fun to kind of predict who will, win the tiebreakers, things like that. Anyways, Ty, Sterb, getting right into it. I'll start with you, Ty, because we'll start with the AFC West with the Broncos as the number one team in the AFC right now. Do you think they finish there, and do you think they win the division?
I do think that they win the division. I don't think, the way that Casey's playing and then the struggles on the offensive line and just with health for the Chargers, I don't think there's a way that, they lose the lead that they have right now. As far as the 1 seed, I think it really does depend on, this weekend's game. If they beat Vegas, they hold the 2-way tiebreaker over New England. So if they go the rest of the season, at the same record, because of common opponents, Denver would be 6-0 against common opponents, and New England would be 5-1 with the loss being to Vegas earlier in the season. So I think there's a good chance that Denver could get that 1 seed because of that tiebreaker, but I definitely think that they win the AFC West.
Sterb, you got the Broncos sticking it out in the West as well?
Yeah, I have the Broncos sticking it out.
Yeah. It was a tough one, through like the first 9 weeks, there was like some debate like, oh, can the Chiefs, come back? But it's really just shown the last few weeks that the Chiefs aren't a team that are truly competing for this division at this point in time. So I got to go with the Broncos here as well. Moving on, let's go to the AFC East. The Patriots, the Bills, they're fighting for this spot, Sterb. Do you think the Bills can pull it out, or do you think the Patriots will stick into that spot?
No, I have the Patriots sticking here. Their remaining schedule I don't think is much tougher than this schedule up until this point, and they have pretty considerable lead on Buffalo. They already beat them, so I'm sticking with New England in this one. I don't think we're going to talk about Drake May today, so this is my one opportunity to show off the new shirt.
Oh my God, you got a second shirt,
another Drake album cover. I'll stop the Glaze sesh, but give me Patriots.
Ty, who do you got, the Patriots or the Bills?
Yeah, I got the Patriots too. Like Sterb said, they just have an easier schedule than Buffalo to finish out. I mean, it does kind of hinge on if Buffalo beats them, right? Because they play, I think, in 2 weeks. But yeah, I got the Pats just because of strength of schedule.
Yeah, I went through, and the Patriots, right? They haven't had like the toughest schedule, so people are knocking them for that. I don't think that's a valid response. They've been playing well, and they did beat the Bills already. They do play the Bills, like you said, in a couple of weeks. I do have the Bills beating them in that game, just off the top of my head. I think they split their divisional games, but I think the Patriots do come out and win the division. I think they have a solid enough lead to win that division pretty easily with this last few slate of games. So give me the Patriots here as well. Moving on to the AFC South. This one is going to come down right to the wire in week 18. You got the Texans, the Colts, and the Jaguars all fighting for this spot. Ty, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to take Houston. I think they're the hot team right now. They've won, I think, 9 out of their last 10. They're just on a roll, and CJ Stroud's figured out that if he just doesn't turn the ball over and just play sound football, that this defense will win them a lot of football games. I do think that all 3 of these teams make the playoffs. I think Jacksonville and Indy can make it as a wild card, but I just think the Daniel Jones injury has kind of hampered his mobility, and he's kind of been on the downturn overall in production. So I'm going to take Houston because that defense is, they're balling.
Sterb, what about you? Who do you got?
Yeah, this is really tough for me because, obviously I've been on the Colts up until this point in the season. Houston, I think, is probably the best team right now. But when you look at, the remaining games left, Jacksonville, I think, has the easiest schedule because they still do play the Jets and they still play the Titans. And then they're at 8-4 in terms of record, tied with the top of this division. It's just – I don't have full faith putting T-Law to win this division. It just feels a little gross. I don't know, but Houston's schedule is, I would say, a little tougher. I think I'm going to go with Houston. Houston and Jacksonville don't play for the rest of the year, so that could be, they don't control their fate directly if it comes down to those two teams. And then Indianapolis, they're banged up right now, and they kind of slowed down a little bit. I think I'm going to agree with Ty and just like bet on the best team, even though they're a game behind, and go with Houston. But the Jags, it really wouldn't surprise me at all if they beat the Jets, beat the Titans, and then like steal one of these against the 2 or the 3 other games that they have would be the Colts twice and then Denver. It wouldn't shock me if they stole one of those. So I guess give me Houston, but it doesn't feel great.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Houston here as well. I have all 3 teams finishing at 11-6 after going through like the ESPN playoff generator. They're all finishing at 11-6, and the Houston Texans came out on top of that tiebreaker there. So the Texans, like you guys said, their defense is playing absolutely at an insane level right now. Every single player. We saw the clip a couple weeks ago where Mike Sainristil came up and just blew up one of the like linemen pulling on a play against, I think it was the Bills, on like a 4th and 1. Am I tripping? I'm pretty sure.
Mike Sanders still plays for the Commanders.
Yeah, Sainristil and
you mean Bullock? I think it was Bullock.
No. Who's the corner on the
Zier?
No,
Stingley?
I'm blanking. It wasn't Stingley either. I'm blanking on who it was. I get
Kamari Lassiter.
Lassiter. Yeah. Those 2 guys, for whatever reason, I got them mixed up throughout the drafts, throughout everything. I got them extremely.
Sanders did have a play where he blew up someone, though.
But Lassiter came on and blew up I think it was like a pulling tackle or pulling guard, just blew him up. And then Will Anderson stopped him. And it was just an electric play where everyone was going nuts. And it's like this defense just plays balls to the wall every single play. And the Texans defense is carrying them. Like you said, Ty, if CJ Stroud, Davis Mills, whoever is a quarterback can play and play without turnovers, then they can win these games pretty easily just because their defense is playing at such a high level. So I'm going to go with the Texans, winning the division here. And they do play the Colts again, and maybe that one's for all the marbles in Week 18. Moving on to the AFC North, we got the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens battling it out for this last divisional spot. Sterb, who do you got in this one?
I guess I got Baltimore, but it seems like they just try and shoot themselves in the foot as many times as possible right now. I'm kind of just banking on maybe this defense turns around like it did last year, and Lamar just kind of needs to lock in a little bit along with the rest of the offense. It was just really, really a poor showing this past Thanksgiving slate against the Bengals. I think the Bengals, they kind of dug themselves too deep of a hole to get back at the top of this division. But it really wouldn't surprise me if 9-8 or 8-9 even wins this division. The teams are just feels like they're fighting with pool noodles right now against each other. Pittsburgh is terrible. I think they're done. And then like Baltimore, we've seen it in previous years, I guess. So I'm going with the Ravens, just banking on someone has to come out of this division. But like the Ravens, you can't feel great about them right now until you see something akin to, even remotely close to the first 3 quarters that they put up Week 1. Ever since then, it's been like just kind of a lot of mid and a lot of, just disappointment. So I'm going with the Ravens, but I don't know.
Ty, who do you got?
I'm going to go with the Ravens too, but I think a lot of this does hinge on if Cincinnati can pull it out against Buffalo this week. Because if they can pull it out against Buffalo, they're going to start rolling, right? I mean, they're already kind of rolling with Burrow back, but if they beat Buffalo, I guarantee you they'll beat Baltimore the second time if they beat Buffalo. And now, if they lose this game, I think it kind of hurts them a little bit. The momentum starts to slow down. Maybe they lose to Baltimore. So I'm going to go with Baltimore. I don't think they're going to beat Buffalo this week, but I don't know, man. This team with Burrow back, like, just feels like they had this new energy to them, even though the defense isn't great. Like they go out there and make plays. So I'm going to go with Baltimore, but since he's there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers here. I think it's going to be a close race. And I know Sterb is absolutely out on the Steelers, and he's not a fan. They're going to get their obligatory 9-8 record with Mike Tomlin, and I think that wins them the division this year. And that's like, it's not where you want to be, right? You're like, okay, we won the division, we're in the playoffs. You're going to get absolutely smoked by whoever you play. Most likely the Bills if they end up in the fourth right now in the ESPN, the playoff generator, they'd be the 4th seed playing the Bills at the 5 seed with the games I picked. But like, that's just not where you want to be if you're the Steelers. I think the Ravens, if they get in, they're going to get smoked. The Bengals are probably the team, right? If they get in on this win streak that they're going to have to get in. If they get in, they're probably going to be the best possible team out of this division to get into the playoffs. Like, I think that would be the scariest opponent. You don't want to face Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase Brown, who's been playing really, really well recently as well. I just don't think you'd want to play the Bengals, but I think the Steelers are at the best spot right now, and 9-8 is going to get you in this division, which is it's painful to look at in comparison to a lot of these other divisions that are tough with good records. Then you just see 9-8, 8-9, 7-10, like battling it out for that divisional spot.
Should we like banish divisions?
No, you can't do it. Sterb, you bring up a really good point here. That is a conversation that NFL's had. What are your thoughts on that? At least in terms of home field advantage, do all the divisional winners get in, and then maybe you have the home field advantage of the top 4 seeds or top 4 win records? Like, what are your thoughts there?
I do kind of like that because like 9-8 should never win you home field advantage in any playoff game, in my opinion. And maybe it's like a minimum where you like have to get where you have to be like I don't know, like top 10 in your conference and record. I don't know where all these teams would rank, but like 9-8 is just, it doesn't feel playoff worthy. And we've seen like a couple of teams like sneak in at like the 7 seed and they just get like absolutely whooped. Like I don't think off the top of my head, I can't think of any 7 seed winning in the past couple of years. I could be wrong, but it kind of just feels like ever since the NFL has, added that 7th seed, there's been, some kind of it's like the meme of the soldiers, and then there's just like one clown turning a corner. That's kind of what it feels like sometimes. And then this team, it just happens.
Green Bay.
It was Green Bay. Hammer's gonna.
Oh yeah.
Your case, it was Green Bay against the Cowboys, in which they didn't feel like the 7th seed. I'll say that. Like, it was kind of a surprise of how they came out against.
Yeah. They did rattle off some wins, especially late in that season in the playoffs too. But I don't know. The 7th seed, I've been shaky on it. I was definitely pro adding 7th seed in the playoffs when it did get added, but now it just kind of feels like maybe you should have done better in the regular season. But in terms of like divisions, I think the home field advantage thing makes a lot of sense. It makes too much sense, honestly.
Yeah, and I do like, honestly, like only one team getting that first round bye. It makes it more of a, you're the best team in your division or conference. You get the bye, and you're the only team to get the bye. Like that makes sense to me. So I guess the 7 seed makes sense on that front, but I definitely agree about the home field advantage thing. I think it's unfair for the 7 seed to have a better record than the 4 seed. I think it's tough. Ty, do you agree on that end, or?
Yeah, have it like college football, right? Don't make the winning the division matter in seeding, but you get an auto bid if you win your division.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Moving on to the NFC here, we'll start off with the NFC South. Sterb, the Saints division, even though the Saints are out of it, obviously. The Bucs and the Panthers. The Panthers are making an interesting conversation. If they beat the Saints this past a few weeks ago now, that they would be in the lead for this division. What are your thoughts on this division? Who do you have coming out of it?
Yeah, this is another division where it kind of feels like they're fighting with pool noodles, kind of like the AFC North. The difference is like these teams I don't think they have the ability to reach that ceiling as Baltimore does. I went with Tampa Bay here. I think the remaining schedule, when I looked at it earlier, I didn't write it down. I think it's pretty mild. So I'm gonna, I guess, rely on them. But like to me, they're a team that like doesn't really feel playoff worthy. I kind of feel the same way with the Panthers. They're like far negative in DVOA, I believe the Panthers are, and they're sitting here at, I think, 7-6. But Tampa Bay has the lead right now, I believe, and then I just think they're going to pull it out. I think they're a little better roster. Although like Carolina, I will say, is like has shown some promise. I still don't think Bryce Young is the long-term solution, but I think Dave Canales has showed kind of what you want to see in his first couple of years as a coach. And then like Derek Brown is a beast, but I'm just going to bet on Tampa Bay because they've done it before. But if I'm a Tampa Bay fan, I'm not feeling great about where I'm at as if I'm sneaking in 4 seed at the playoffs.
Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I got Tampa Bay too. They got a pretty easy schedule to finish out 4 division games, and they got Miami. I think this is a team that offensively, if they can get hot, right, they get Mike Evans back. Bucky just came back last week, that they could be a dangerous team in the playoffs. We've seen them kind of, work their way through the season, really banged up, playing Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard. They gave Buffalo a run for their money there for a little bit. Like they've been competitive in most games. So I think that this is a team that, once they get healthy, they'll find their way. So I got Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucks here too. I don't think the Panthers are real. I feel like they're kind of taking themselves out of like a good draft position right now with the wins they're rattling off. But I do think Bryce Young, like it's good for him. It's good for his confidence, getting these wins, things like that. Like that'll definitely help him down the road in the future. But it is tough to see if he's necessarily the future. T Mac though is definitely going to be the receiver one for a foreseeable future for them. And Jalen Coker too has been playing really, really well. Xavier Leggett, not so much, but he's like a solid receiver 3 that like you can throw it to him every once in a while. He'll make a play, but the Panthers, yeah, I don't see them winning this division. Moving on to the NFC North, you got the Packers, the Lions, and the Bears all fighting for this division. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I got the Bears taking this one, and I know obviously the 1 seed right now, they do have a little bit of a tougher schedule to finish out. I just don't see, the way that Detroit's playing right now, I don't see them even making the playoffs, to be honest with you. And then Green Bay, I don't know. That team is so, Jenks loves to say this, Jekyll and Hyde. Like they are true Jekyll and Hyde, right? They'll play so well against Detroit and then drop one against a Carolina team that has dropped them to New Orleans. It's just they play down to the level of their opponent consistently, and that is not something that is going to win you many football games in the NFL. So I got Green Bay making the playoffs, but I got Chicago winning the division.
Sterb, what do you think?
Yeah, Ty, you didn't consider that we're entering Toyota-thon. I got the Packers. In recent weeks, I think they've been probably the best team. Chicago, you got to give them props, right? Like Ben Johnson, absolute coaching clinic right now. I think Caleb Williams is getting a little overhated on the internet for the completion percentage. I mean, you watch him and he's definitely taken a step from last year. There's still room for improvement, and that's kind of exactly what we thought we were going to be at this point in the season. It was, this was always going to take like a bit to develop for me. And being the 1 seed in the NFC is and like harping on the completion percentage for a year 2 quarterback is kind of crazy. But like I picked the Bears over the Eagles as my hot take last week. It's like plus 300 or whatever. I still like the Bears a lot long term, and I'm probably going to pick them to at least the NFC Championship next year. But like Ty said, the schedule is a bit harder going into the playoffs. And Green Bay, I just have more faith in Jordan Love at this point, and they have an actual high end pass rusher, and that Micah Parsons has so much value to me. He's closed like a good amount of games this year where it's like you can point to Micah Parsons and be like, he won them this game. He made the game winning play. So I'm going to go with Green Bay. I think they've kind of yet to reach their ceiling, and they're playing probably the highest level right now. But Chicago could certainly do it.
This is gonna shock you guys, but I do have the Packers winning here too. I have the Bears missing out of the playoffs with the tiebreakers right now. With the tiebreakers, because listen to this.
This is what you just said about this is what you said about the Packers going into the season.
Look at their schedule. So they would be finishing with this prediction. They'd be finishing 11-6. They would be losing to the Packers this week, beating the Browns, beating the Packers at home, and then losing to the 49ers and the Lions to end the season. And those two games like are both win or go, basically like win or go home for the 49ers and the Lions respectively in those moments. So I think like those are huge games for them. And obviously if the Bears beat the Lions, they'd make it and the Bears or the Lions would be out. So that's 100% possible. Like this is 5 weeks before that happens. So like that's the prediction like off my current
Yeah, the
state
Lions
of
could be
mind.
out of it before then.
Yeah. And that's like if the Lions, if Amon-Ra St. Brown is out and they lose this week or lose next week, things like that, then maybe the team kind of, shuts down. Like they don't really keep competing. They kind of commit to not a tank, but buying into that draft spot, shut some guys down due to injury, things like that. Like that could obviously happen. But I think at this current point, I had the Packers winning and the Lions coming in second in that division. Packers finishing 12-4-1. And I think that's a really good spot for them. Second seed. That's all you could want as a Packers fan right now, especially with some of these losses they've had, especially to the Panthers, like you said, Ty. Like that was a bad loss for them. And they've bounced back a little bit since then. And it's good to see for the Packers, especially for Jordan Love. He's had a really good recent slate of games. Anyways, moving on to the NFC West. This is a division where three teams, again, fighting for. You got the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers. Sterb, who do you got coming out of this one?
Yeah, I have the Rams. It wouldn't surprise me if the Seahawks won this one, but I just think the Rams are, probably got the best QB coach pairing in the league. And they, their secondary did get exposed. Ty and I were defending it for a couple weeks, and Manuel Forrest didn't play so great last week. Let's hope he bounces back. But I'm still going with LA because I have that high-end offense. I really wouldn't be scared about them dropping one to the Panthers. I think it just happens in the NFL. It's like any given Sunday, any team can really lose to any team. We say like, oh yeah, there's no way that the Panthers win, but like if you want to get into semantics, yes, there's a 2% chance that the Panthers can win or whatever it is, and then it hits, and you're like, oh, you're an idiot. You said that the Rams are definitely going to win, but
yeah,
it happens all the time.
It's not like it was the Titans, right? Like the Panthers are like a solid enough team. Like they've beat the Packers, they've had tough games. Titans, if it was the Titans that the Rams lost to, maybe that worries you a little bit. But I'm not too worried about the Panthers.
They're close in like week 4 or 5 or whatever it was.
Yeah. So Ty, who do you got? You have the Rams as well, or you got the Seahawks?
Yeah, I got the Rams. I think it'll be tight down to the wire, but yeah, give me the Rams. I think it kind of depends on who wins that second matchup, right? I think, I had them, I think in their prediction as 14-3 and 13-14, but I had the Rams winning the second one.
Yeah. I had the Rams at 14-3 winning the division here. I think they're going to finish strong. They have a really good offense. Like you said, Sterb, best quarterback coach, what's it called? Yeah, duo in the league. And I think the Seahawks, Sam Darnold has scared me at moments this year. And if you put a lot of pressure on him, that like he could crumble. So give me the Rams here. And I'm not saying that at all due to him only scoring 3 points in fantasy and him scoring less than 5 points or 10 points in fantasy multiple times this season. That's totally not the reasoning.
You did text us and say I'm changing back to Darnold Peter after that happened.
Yeah, we're just ignoring all that.
It was very convenient timing.
Very in the moment, I won the matchup, so the hate kind of dialed down a little bit. But yeah, Sam Darnold, you're on hate watch right now, buddy. You don't keep
want
stinking
that, dude. That's
if you keep stinking it up. If you keep stinking it up, it's not good. Anyways, moving on to the NFC East. The Cowboys are making this division a little bit interesting right now. Ty, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think the Cowboys can pull it out? Or do you think the Eagles finish strong?
Yeah, I got Dallas taking it. I got Dallas at 11-5-1 and Philly at 11-6, which gives Dallas the lead. Obviously, they beat them once. I think they play again in week 18 or 17, something like that. I don't know, but anyways, they don't. No.
Yeah, it was week 1.
Oh, you're right. But anyways, I had them at the tiebreaker because of the tie. But I think Dallas, man, I have them winning this week. Like, I think they're just going to be on a roll if they beat Detroit. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get jump into my hot take too soon yet. But, like, I mean, this is pretty much it. Like, if they win against Detroit this week, they will go and win the division. So, give me Dallas.
Sterb, who do you got?
Ty, so you have Dallas winning out.
Yeah, that would be
Detroit, Minnesota, Chargers.
Yeah, Detroit, Minnesota, Chargers, Commanders, Giants.
Definitely doable. It's definitely doable.
It's definitely doable. And I was really wrestling with this for a good portion of today because I mean, if the season restarts today, I'm picking Dallas to the NFC Championship probably against the Rams. But I think Philly, like Ty said, does finish 11-6. It's just a matter of whether Dallas is perfect outside of this or the rest of the season. I guess I'll roll with Ty. I'm going with Dallas. I think they're too good of a team right now. And again, I think they're gonna spoilers against Detroit this week. And then they face 9. They face Justin Herbert with one hand. They face Marcus Mariota and a poopy defense, and then they face Jackson Dart with 2 brain cells left. So kind of like a favorable schedule on the way out. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
Well, let me ask you, what 2 teams do you have the Eagles losing to, you think, in their final 5 games? They have the Chargers, the Raiders, the Commies, the Bills, and the Commies again.
I think they definitely lose to the Bills.
I have them losing that game.
I would say definitely the Bills, and you just have to pick one. I think it's most likely that it's going to be the Chargers this week, but I wouldn't put it past them to lose one to Washington and Marcus Mariota at this point. Like the offense.
Jaden Daniels might be back. Jaden Daniels might be back.
True. True. I didn't even consider that. So
yeah, I got them losing to Buffalo and the Chargers this week.
Yeah, I have the Eagles, finishing strong and winning the division. I do have them losing to the Bills. But yeah, like you guys said, if Jaden Daniels comes back and he's balling out, like we just saw the Commanders against the Broncos, that their offense actually looked somewhat decent. And that it was a major testament to Terry McLaurin. Treylon Burks made like an insane OBJ 2.0 catch that I don't see that happening again this year, obviously. But that was a big moment for that game. And if the Commanders can do that with Jaden Daniels back, like maybe the offense is able to beat the Eagles again, like you guys just said. So it definitely is. It's a fun race. So week 18, the Cowboys and the Eagles, that'll be a lot of fun to see which team. They're not playing each other, but Eagles playing the Commanders. I believe the Cowboys playing that. Cowboys are playing, like you guys said, a weaker Giants. So 2 divisional games where like the other divisional opponents are going to be trying their hardest to kick the opposing team, out of the playoffs. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch. But I do have the Eagles taking the division here in this one. Anyways, that will do it for our divisional talks. We're going to move into our week 14 picks here. The leaders, as you guys can see here, Sterb is slowly moving up a little bit more. I think he's at 15th now. Ty's still at number 1, 132 wins. I believe he said he forgot to put in his couple Thanksgiving Day games. He's pretty pissed, but he's still tied for first without that, so it's not the end of the world. Chad and Cooper are tied at 3rd with 131 wins. He Hate Me and ESPN and Phoenix Fluffer at 5th for 130 wins. I'm at 9th at 127 times Cliff. Hammer is at 11th at 125. Sterb is at 15th at 122 wins. And just a quick reminder to everyone that tunes in and everyone that's participating, if you guys are subscribed and you guys win this group, you just feel free to comment down below. Let us know if you guys won, and we'll be sending out a jersey to whoever wins this. So just a quick reminder to subscribe, and obviously let us know if you end up winning. But Ty's looking like he's controlling it right now, so you guys got to beat Ty for it. No pressure, Ty.
Jenks, you're going to be buying me a jersey.
No pressure at all. Anyway,
jersey.
A what jersey?
Pat
Bryant
jersey.
See that
half Pat Bryant and half RJ Harvey jersey.
Yeah, that I wouldn't mind. That would be a sick
Pat
jersey.
Bryant, half Michael Thomas.
That would not be a
second coming. That would be dope. I would buy that. Anyways, moving on to the week 14 picks. Ty, we got you starting off with a Thursday night football game. We got the Cowboys taking on the Lions. We talked a little bit about it just in that prior segment. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I spoiled my pick. I think that Dallas wins out and beats Detroit this week. I just think, Jenks and I were kind of talking about this before we started recording. Like the Amon St. Brown situation is massive for Detroit, right? Because the fall off from him to JMO, I mean, Jamo's a quality receiver, but he is not a number 1 in the way that Amon-Ra is. And I just feel like Amon-Ra is the heart and soul of that Detroit Lions offense, right? Like, Jameer's obviously probably maybe their best player. But that offense, just who the Detroit Lions are under Dan Campbell, like that is Amon St. Brown, right? Like he's going to try to tough it out on Thursday night to play, and he said that. But a hampered Amon St. Brown is just not. It's not the same player that we're used to, and you're going up against a Dallas defense that, to start the season until that trade deadline was, the worst defense right there, neck and neck with Cincinnati, and since then, they have looked like a top at least 15 unit, right? Like Quinnen Williams changed everything with the interior pressure for this defense. The way that he can stop the run. Logan Wilson, he hasn't been. He's not like a huge piece for them, but he's just like that kind of veteran leader that comes in and he plays quality football. And then they got in some guys coming off injured reserve, Damarian Overshone, who's been great, and some of these other cats that, the defense has just turned it all around. And then you pair that with the offense that coming to the season, we were like, this is the Cincinnati Bengals of last season, right? This is an offense that, how do you stop this team? My Denver Broncos, they were able to stop this offense, but no one else has been able to really stop this this Dallas offense. And it's just gotten crazier with time, right? The run game is kind of fallen off a little bit, but Pickens, CD, especially Pickens, I mean, he just looks like no one wants to touch him out there. He's always open. He finds a way to score untouched touchdowns all the time. Dallas is just on a roll, and I don't really see Detroit stopping them because they're kind of in that the other side of it all, right? They're kind of in that fall off. Their secondary's kind of banged up with Terry and Arnold out, and that's not that's a recipe for disaster against an offense like this. So, like I said earlier, give me Dallas. It's just that team is rolling right now.
Sterb, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, give me Dallas as well. When Ty was listing off the defensive players, I was trying my best to contain my Donovan as Rocket Glaze, but yeah, Ty kind of said it best. I got Dallas here. They're the better team right now.
Yeah, if Amon-Ra is in, I will pick the Lions. I think this is a must win for them to even hope for the playoffs. Like you got to beat the Cowboys here to have a shot. So I'll pick them if Amon-Ra is in. And like I said in the past segment, if Amon-Ra is out, you can definitely see the Lions losing this and then, kind of starting to slow it down for the year, shut down players that are still kind of injured, keep them healthy for next season, things like that. Moving on to the Seahawks playing the Falcons here in Atlanta. The Falcons, obviously, Kirk Cousins is still going to be the quarterback. Drake London is questionable. He's trying to play, I believe, for this one, but it is iffy. You're playing a Seahawks defense that absolutely just destroyed Brosmer and the Vikings last week. It was rough. That was a rough game to watch. In that game, though, Sam Darnold did struggle against the Vikings defense. The Falcons defense has had flashes this year. Maybe they slow down Sam Darnold a little bit and give the offense a shot. If Kirk Cousins does win this game, he starts a conversation of, is he the long-term starter or do they go back to Penix, right? Like, I think he could be the guy for them. He's showed flashes against the Saints. He could show flashes in this one if he beats a Seahawks defense. But last week against the Jets was a really bad environment for passing. So I can't really say that it was like a great like view on it. Yeah, it was rough weather in New Jersey last week. So that's a tough game for him. But I think the Seahawks come into Atlanta and beat them here. So give me the Seahawks. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, give me Seattle. I don't necessarily think it's going to be close. This defense is too good.
Sterb, who do you got?
I concur.
Yeah, the Falcons losing is always a good sight for Sterb and I. Anyways, moving on to the Steelers taking on the Ravens. Sterb, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, this is probably the worst Baltimore-Pittsburgh game I can remember in the past couple of years. I mean, just Baltimore needs to not shoot themselves in the foot, and I think they're going to win this game. But I don't really have any faith in them to do that. I'm gonna be picking them in this game. But like Pittsburgh, Rodgers is banged up. Their weapons are pretty bad, and then their defense is terrible. So it's not exactly a good recipe for winning. Baltimore, I think their defense. This could be like the turning point that we saw last season, where what the Steelers do is just so predictable. And it could be like a get right game for the Baltimore defense, and they really just kind of try and lock in Zach Orr. I don't know, very questionable. But you got to have this defense like firing on us on all cylinders if you want to have a shot at winning a playoff game, especially with how the offense is playing right now. And I think this could be, like the launch point to where this defense starts to get into a rhythm. I'm going to go with Baltimore here, but I don't know. I might not even be watching this one unless it's on Red Zone. So
Yeah, it's just going to be one of those games that kind of pops up on Resident. Like, oh, okay, that's how that one's going. All right.
and it's for
Focus
the
on the other.
division lead. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just this division, like everyone knows it's not really going to lead to anything in the playoffs. So unless it's the Bengals, like I think the Bengals are like the team that everyone's going to be rooting for to come out of this division, but it's tough. Ty, who do you got?
I'll say this: Baltimore's always got a shot as long as they have Lamar Jackson, Derrick
Mhm.
Henry in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a game that Baltimore kind of fools us because I think defensively, right, Sterb, you kind of talked about like, could this be a turnaround game for them? I think they kind of fool us thinking that this defense is turning around because they're going against an offense that's so pathetic. Like this offense, especially with Rodgers banged up. I mean, just it's a shame. Mentally you could tell that he still has it, but physically he just does not have it at all. And they don't have anything outside of DK Metcalf. It's so easy to take him out of the game, and then it's Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin and a 350-pound tight end. That's the only guys that can make a play outside of DK Metcalf. So give me Baltimore, but this is gonna be ugly.
I want to say that Darnell Washington came out and said he is 3'11". I think he like officially came out on the
It's
record.
313.
313. That's what it was.
He's a left tackle.
he's a left tackle that can actually like move. Like he's very, very athletic.
That's what you call moving.
Yeah, man, he gets going. He can hurdle. He can juke a little bit. I like the movement. I like the movement for a bigger fella. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens here too in the home game. I think the Steelers can steal that next game they play when the Steelers are at home. I think it'll be like a split kind of this type of thing. But I think the Ravens are the better team. We saw the Bills just this past week run about like 25 plays, the exact same play about 25 times. I think it was like inside zone variation that they ran 25 times. Someone went through and did the film, and it worked every single time against the Steelers defense.
Yeah,
if you can start, duo. Yeah, if you can get that going with Derrick Henry, I mean, it's gonna be tough to stop for the Ravens, even if Lamar Jackson is slightly like he's hindered a little bit by this leg injury. I think it's an ankle right now, and he's not obviously.
Give the ball to
like
Henry
5
Moore.
different injuries.
Give it to Henry Moore, though.
Yeah, give it the ball to Derrick Henry Moore, maybe
Henry
Keaton
Moore?
Mitchell. Yeah,
Give it to.
okay. Ster's got jokes. Anyways, moving on. We got the Titans. We got the Titans
Holy
playing
shit.
the Browns here. Ty Shadur Sanders is playing lights out. He's the next coming of
Okay.
Jesus. What are your thoughts on this game and Shadur Sanders?
No one in the goddamn world should watch this game. I mean, this game is going to be horrendous. This could have been the battle of the number 2 pick if Mel Kiper was the guy drafted for the Browns. But yeah, I mean, Shadur's obviously playing well enough for them to win football games, but so was Dylan Gabriel, and I don't think the narrative is any different between these two. I think that the biggest thing to watch with the Browns is they just activated Deshaun Watson's practice window. I think that they took a quarterback in the 3rd and 5th round, right? They're not dedicated to those guys. They paid Deshaun Watson a hell of a lot of money. That guy's going to get another chance to play some games for this team at some point in time, especially because they have nothing to lose. They're like 3-8, right? So, I think that Myles Garrett's going to wreak havoc on this game. Poor Cam Ward. There's been a lot of discord online about Cam Ward being bad. You turn on some of these throws. I mean, he's making some hell of throws, and he's just got no coaching. He's got no weapons around him. Like, he's had some great throws. It's just, just the team is garbage. What do you got to say? Man?
It's Tyler Shuck if he was the number 1 overall pick. That's exactly what's happening here.
Tyler Shuck has way better weapons around him, for one. For two, that's not even. I hate you, bro. Sometimes you just say
What kind of take
shit. You said the stupidest shit about the Saints. Oh my god.
Just get you guys a little bit riled up.
Anyways, I'm gonna take Cleveland here. Their defense will probably just win them the game, and Shadur will do enough. So give me Cleveland.
Sterb, who do you got?
Yeah, I got Cleveland again. It's the Myles Garrett theory.
Yeah, give me the Browns here as well. I think Myles Garrett. I'm gonna save like what I have to say for later, but I think he's gonna go off again, and he only needs 4 sacks in 5 games.
He might get him all this game.
And that he
There's Jenks' hot take.
It's one of them. I have a few loaded up, ready to go. But and just saying, Tyler Shuck, better completion percentage.
Okay.
and about the same touchdown to interception ratio.
Dude, he's got Devon Vele.
That's low. Yeah, that is true. That is the
Yeah,
second.
he's got Devon Vele tax, buddy. All right.
This is true. This is true. So, yeah, I guess he has the upper hand there, especially with Devin Neal at running back. Juwan Johnson at tight end. It's pretty stacked.
That's
pretty
How
better
many
than
people
what-
just clicked
that's better
off the
than
podcast?
Okonkwo. Yeah.
Hey man, it's a real conversation though. Like I think like I am being like somewhat serious though. I think like the number one pick, it does help. Like if he played like that and he was the number 50 pick, right? Like I think like the discourse is like, oh, maybe you have to draft a quarterback next year. Whereas like because he's the number one overall pick, he has shown flashes. I'm not trying to discount that he has shown flashes, but like he also hasn't.
There's a reason he
played
was the
to a-
number one.
This was my Rattler argument that you dismissed.
Yeah.
I
What
think
was it?
Rattler is playing good. Just because he was a 5th rounder, it doesn't mean you have to.
I said that the Saints should have rolled with Rattler if I was being like I said that before the draft last year. I was like, I don't think they should have gone
But
quarterback.
there's no way that you think that Cam Ward's surrounding cast is equal or better than the Saints.
I wouldn't say equal or better, but it's not.
I don't think it's close.
I don't think the Saints they have Chris Olave who just dropped the game-winning touchdown pass in his hands.
He's
Like,
better
went
than
right
what
through
the Titans got.
He's working with Jim DK, bro.
Yeah, Jameer DK and Sugar
Hey,
Quanqua and
don't forget
Tony
about
Pollard.
They
Oh my
cut Tyler
God.
Lockett.
Alec Iomanner.
Yeah,
down
that's
there.
how bad this team is. They cut Lockett.
Alec Iomanner is the future. That's my dynasty talker right there. That's my guy sitting on my bench.
We got to move past this game. We've been
He's
talking about
developing.
Titans
Anyways,
way
yeah,
too
we
way too
have been
much time.
talking about the Titans way too much. Give me the Browns here in this one. Shadur Sanders is not doing anything great. He's gonna win this game, and I'm just gonna be like, he's 2-1 as a starter. He's the future for this team. Good. Set back the Browns another 20 years. I really don't care. Anyways, moving on to the Colts taking on the Jaguars. The Colts just went and signed Blake Grupe from the Saints, who just dropped him a few weeks ago. Who's the worst kicker in the league, percentage-wise. He is a practice demon, does well in practice, sucks in games. They just went and signed him. He then said that he's looking forward to playing meaningful football. The Saints could have been playing and winning games if maybe their kicker could make a field goal. There were a couple of games that he legitimately like choked like 9 points off the board. So it's I'm just saying like he did swing some games like single-handedly. So not even trying to say the Saints are good or anything. It's just he single-handedly impacted some of those. But the Colts, obviously their offense is slowing down a little bit when teams are able to stop Jonathan Taylor. We've seen that the last few weeks with a couple losses here. I think the Colts are a team that without JT balling out, that offense does get severely hindered because Daniel Jones has to be the guy for you. And that hurts the team. The Jaguars on the other side, their run game's doing really well. Tootin, Etienne, it's a good duo. The receivers they're solid. There's nothing like crazy. Brian Thomas Jr. is obviously still looking to kind of, be the guy that we all expect him to be this year. Brent Strange playing to a solid level right now for T-Law. T-Law is playing all right, but like Sterb said earlier on the podcast, like you don't want to see T-Law go and win the division because just something about it doesn't feel right. But the Jaguars, I'm going to pick them to win this game. I think their defense will be able to slow down the Colts enough. I think they're the 11th ranked defense in the league this year in like all around yardage, touchdown, scoring, things like that. The Colts on the other side, their defense is a little bit weaker, and I think JT is going to be slowed down just enough that the Jaguars keep this close, and that Blake Grupe misses the game-winning field goal and loses this game for the Colts. So give me the Jags here. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I got the Colts. I know it's tough with Daniel Jones's leg injury, but I think JT's going to get back on track at some point and keep rolling and carry this team. So I'm going to take the Colts this week.
Sterb, who do you got?
This one's probably gonna be like a game time decision for me when it comes down to health. So I guess I'll just roll with the Colts for now, but it's probably very likely to change.
All right, moving on. We got the Commies taking on the Vikings. It's looking like 9 might be Baxter. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, 9 is pretty bad. But this Washington defense still not very good. Bobby Wagner, I think he had like a good TFL, but like last week, man, he just looks very, very washed out there.
He's just slow.
He's so slow. And then I mean, when Washington is on offense, it's just like, can Marcus Mariota, just stack back-to-back performances? I thought he played, honestly, like Ty, can
He
you
played
think of
out of
like
his fucking
a couple
mind.
better QB performances?
Dude, he
What
played
was
out of
that?
his mind. He looked like he
It
was at
was a
That's
Oregon.
what I'm
good game.
saying. He probably, I can't think of a better QB performance against Denver this year. I don't
And it was
think
with
I don't think
Surtain
there is
back.
one.
Like it wasn't like their defense was injured either.
He just was like
Yeah,
unsackable, dude. He looked like
yeah.
his Heisman year at Oregon.
It was super impressive, and they utilized like a lot of under center. I think that was more of like a Denver game plan thing. We'll see if that kind of holds true with like another feisty, confusing defense like Minnesota. But they're not on the same tier as Denver. I really don't know who to pick in this game. This is another one that like if you're watching it, like I question your decision making, and I was like, I mean, if you're watching this one, like props to you. You love football more than me, but I'm not going to be watching this one. I guess I'll go with. I don't know. I'll go with the Commanders, but this is another one that like I could change, but I don't know. I'm not betting on 9 to win a game.
Ty, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Minnesota for now. I want to see if Jaden Daniels is gonna play. They expected him to get a ton of reps this week and possibly be a go on Sunday. So I think Jaden does move the needle because obviously he's more. Mariota's not playing like he did last week. Let's be honest. That was a blip, and he cannot do
Does
that
he move the
again.
needle?
Jaden moves the needle more than just Mariota. But and JJ is just so bad that it's like it doesn't matter how bad your defense is. He's probably going to give you the ball at least once. But I'm going to take Minnesota just because I think that their defense is capable of winning them games against more mediocre teams. Obviously, last week it was not going to help against Seattle when your quarterback threw that many interceptions.
Yeah, give me the Commanders here. I think no matter what, I think Mariota is good enough to win, and I think JJ McCarthy, like you said, Ty, is just he's so bad that it is a different level where you're just like
I want to say this about JJ McCarthy. Remember weeks ago when I said how bad he was, my hot take was he was going to get benched, and everyone on TikTok, you know what they were calling me? They were calling me retard. They were dropping the R word left and right. That's what I was getting on the TikTok comments, left and freaking right. That's what I was getting all week. And you know where we are now? We're clowning him on Twitter. This guy's terrible. Yada
you
yada.
got to start replying, Ty. You got to reply with the picture of him as 9 in the post game.
Yeah, expect to see that in the comments on that TikTok. Here, so.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I just think JJ McCarthy is so bad right now at absolutely everything that you just can't trust him. And it's insane that they got rid of Sam Darnold. Like they were like, this is the guy for the future. Like we're not going to pay
Daniel Jones.
That is true.
Kirk
as well.
Cousins, like the list goes on and on.
Yeah, like at the trade deadline, like maybe you go get Kirk Cousins and maybe he turns his team around. But like, yeah, it's tough. It is a tough look for Minnesota. But give me the commies here in this one. Anyways, moving on, we got the Dolphins taking on the Jets. Ty, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the Jets, I like what they have in that young core. I think next season when they get a young quarterback or maybe they get a guy like Kyler Murray, I think that they're kind of headed in the right direction. I think, obviously at the trade deadline when they blow it up with Sauce and Quinnen, it's like, what are they doing? But I think Mogi had a plan in mind. You kind of saw he came from that Denver, under George Payton, and you saw what George Payton did with Russell Wilson. Kind of sometimes you have to blow it up in order to build back. And they added small pieces that maybe people wouldn't, really think would be, move the needle. But Adonai Mitchell, he's looked pretty good the past couple of weeks.
Right
he's balling, and Justin Fields was not helping him either. It could have been balling. He was cooking Christian Gonzalez in that Patriots game, and John Mechie has looked really good in the past couple of weeks. I think we were all fans of Mason Taylor. Breece Hall is obviously a good back, and they have a good offensive line. So this team is moving in the right direction. They have a guy who can hold the fort down for at least the time being in Tyrod Taylor. He is a better option at quarterback than Justin Fields. And, on the flip side, Miami, they have looked a little bit better since the start of the season. But I don't know. I think that their run defense is so poor. I think they're still bottom 4 in yards per game allowed that it's going to be tough against a back like Breece. And Breece is, he's had his ups and downs this season, but I think a game like this is where Tyrod Taylor can just, hand the ball up to Breece Hall, kind of let him work, and then pick dink and dunk down the field to Adonai, to Mechie, pick his spots and just rely on the run game. So give me the Jets in this one. I just don't think Miami has a good enough defense to pull it out.
Sir, who do you got in this one?
Yeah, initially I was leaning Jets, but Ty's kind of convincing me. Or initially I was leaning Dolphins, and Ty's kind of convincing me. AD Mitchell, like going back to that 2024 class, he was like he wasn't my number one wide receiver, but he was by far my favorite wide receiver. I mocked him to the Bills literally every single time that I could, and he kind of felt like a money ball move for the Jets. It was like, oh, he's slept on, he's underrated. What can he do? He can get open at a high level. It's like the he can get on base thing. I think Ty kind of convinced me with the Jets here. I don't really feel good picking them, but I mean the only thing that scares me against Miami is like obviously it's the scheme and it's Devon Achane. He can blow a game wide open, and he can just do that against pretty much anyone. But like the Jets, I kind of like what they have going right now. I was a big fan of Aaron Glenn in the offseason, so I guess I'm rolling with I think this is the first time I'm picking Jets this season, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Dolphins here. I'll go a little bit of a different way here. Give me the chance to, catch up to Ty a little bit more. I think the Dolphins are a solid enough team. Their offense is playing a little bit better. Devon Achane is playing well. And the Jets, like, it scares me. Like, I'm worried that, like, they just won last week. Like, yeah, it's all fun. But then you got to realize they're trying to get Mendoza. Like, they got to get a quarterback in this draft, and they're taking themselves slowly out of position to get one. They're going to have to trade a Hall to get – and they do have 2 firsts now, right? They do have a Haul. They 100% do.
Kyler.
I could see Kyler.
Ooh,
I really do.
Actually, that's not bad. That's not bad. But it
depends how deep this quarterback class is too, right? If Dante Moore and Ty Simpson decide to come out, this class is a lot deeper, and you have more, you just have more options.
I do think the Dolphins win. Ty, like you said that the run defense for the Jets or for the Dolphins isn't great. You wouldn't have known last week how they were just absolutely demolishing the Saints every single play that we tried to run.
Oh, I mean,
which I know it's not like it's a good thing for. It's not like it's staying.
Yeah, whatever you're going to say, don't say it, Ty.
but you wouldn't know coming out of that game. But the Jets, their team is solid. They definitely can beat the Dolphins. This one's a coin flip, but I'll go with the Dolphins here. They're pretty hot. Jets won 1 game, but I think the win streak comes to an end this week. Moving on, we got the Saints taking on the Bucks. The Buccaneers, obviously, their defense is playing a little bit worse than I expected going into the season. They're allowing a lot of yards, things like that, but the scoring defense is solid. Like, they're not allowing too many points. They're allowing to a point where their offense can still outplay the opposing offense and score and win them games, even without Mike Evans in play. Bucky Irving just came back. That was a big add for them. I do think they beat the Saints here. The Saints, their offense, as long as they look somewhat competitive in this one and lose, I'm perfectly fine. Keep going towards that top 3 draft pick. Perfectly happy with it. Don't win, but at least look competent. That's all I can ask for as a Saints fan. But give me the Bucks here in this one. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, give me the Bucks too. I think Bucky being back is obviously a huge gift for them. Chris Godwin had a good week last week, and Mike Evans is coming back here soon too. So this offense will start rolling again. Give me Tampa.
Sterb, who do you got?
Yeah, I got Tampa. I picked New Orleans in this last matchup, and I think it got Rattler benched. I think I was cursed, but I'm going with Tampa in this one.
Yeah, yeah, I will say this. I think the Bucks, like, if they really wanted to, they could just run the ball on every single play with Bucky Irving and possibly win this game. Like, I definitely think they could do that. But anyways, moving on to the Bengals playing the Bills here in Buffalo. Stir big for the AFC match playoff race. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I didn't check the game total for this one, but I can't imagine it's like under 55, to be honest. Like, it's probably pretty up there. Both these defenses are not very good. And with Buffalo, Cincinnati's defense is just bad at everything, but Buffalo's pass defense is actually pretty good. Christian Benford, I feel like, is still very, very underrated. It's just their rushing defense that's very, very poor. And teams run the ball on them so much and so efficiently that it drags down their overall defensive efficiency. Chase Brown is kind of the pivot point in this matchup. I don't think he's like a top of the league back, and I don't think Cincinnati's offensive line can really take advantage of this Buffalo rushing defense that's so poor. And then on the other side, I mean, you have great quarterbacks on both sides, but Josh really is kind of a one-man offense. You'd love to see some of the weapons step it up a little bit. I think this is going to be, kind of a shootout game. Cincinnati in that passing attack can definitely take advantage of, Buffalo's pass defense that I mentioned is pretty solid because, you got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow over there. But this will be a fun one to watch. I don't think that these teams are like at that high of a level right now, but it feels like very, very big points in both of their seasons. Cincinnati kind of has to win this one, and they really have to win out. And then Buffalo, they're trying to prove that they cannot get taken advantage of in a round one playoff matchup. So I'm going to go with Buffalo in this one. I think they have the better quarterback. And like I mentioned, I think their offense matches up better against Cincinnati's defense than vice versa.
Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Buffalo. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, right, this is a game that Cincinnati can definitely win. Offensively, the receivers can take advantage of any secondary. And, in the run game, without Ed Oliver, this defense, like you mentioned, Sterb, is just it hasn't been. It's a shell of itself right up front. He's their stalwart. He's their guy in the middle, and Chase Brown could definitely take advantage of it. But Josh Allen just finds ways to win games like this, I feel like, and I'm going to take them here. But if Cincy wins this one, this is the role they start going on to win the AFC North. But give me Buffalo for now.
Yeah, give me the Bills here as well. I do think the Bills come out and win this one at home. Maybe if it was in Cincinnati, I'd pick the Bengals just because of the way they're playing with Joe Burrow back. But give me the Bills at home to win this one, and ditto to everything else you guys said about that team. Anyways, moving on, Ty, you're with Broncos taking on the Raiders here. You just went and watched them beat the Commanders. Did they keep the win streak going against the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, obviously last time these two teams played, it was a stinker, 10-7 on Thursday Night Football. Thank God this game is not in prime time. Denver will probably play better because they're primetime games. I mean, Thursday Night Football is 10-7. I go to the Sunday Night Football game. We go to OT against the Commies. I mean, this team, I'll say this about it. I think it's good that they have some of these games, right, because they've been kind of battle tested in different types of situations, right? You get into the playoffs, now you've been in an OT game, right? You did the whole have to go down and score and then get a stop. So I think there are some good things to take away from that. But yeah, this is as I mentioned earlier, it's not a big game in sense of like, they need to win this or they it'll be competitive, but it's a big game in terms of the tiebreaker with New England. I don't know. I think the second time around, Sean Payton's going to have a much better game plan against this defense. Bo has looked a lot better the last 2 weeks is what I'll say too. Against the Chiefs, he obviously played a really good game. This past week against the Commanders, outside of the stupid bonehead interception that he had to Bobby Wagner, a lot of his throws were on the money, on time. He played. Watch the pass that he threw to Evan Ingram in overtime. I've never seen him look so calm, cool, and collected and unfazed in the pocket. He just stood there, hardly even flinched, and just threw, an easy throw to Evan Ingram, but he looks like he's starting to get more comfortable back there in the pocket. So, and he knows that he needs to carry this offense without J.K. Dobbins, right? The run game hasn't been great, so Bo has to step up and play to another level. The defense is going to come out and ball. So give me Denver here, and probably not a close one.
Yeah, Sterb just said his Wi-Fi went out, but I'm going to have to imagine that he's going to go with the Broncos here as well.
You never know with
one.
that guy.
You do never know, but I definitely, I think
he's going. Yeah.
Here we go. Let's Sterb. I said your Wi-Fi went out, but I'd have to imagine you go with the Broncos, right?
I said you never know.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I got the Broncos.
Yeah, the Broncos. I'm going to go with the Broncos here. Nothing else to add. Watch out for Pat Bryant as usual. The weekly.
Hey, he's been balling.
He got like 8 targets last week.
It's the weird thing with Bo Nix that I've noticed is like once he starts throwing to a receiver, he like just keeps throwing it to him.
Right, he was off the Troy Franklin train last week. Like he was like, nah, never mind. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just week to week they scheme out different guys. Think about Sean Payton back when he was with New Orleans. They had tons of different receivers that sometimes it's that guy's week.
Yeah, I do think the Broncos win this one in Las Vegas. Moving on, we got the Bears taking on the Packers in Green Bay. It's going to be like a 15-degree game. that's not what you want to see for the both teams are cold teams though, right? So it's not like it's anything new for them. They both play in cold environments every week at home, especially in this time of year. But the Packers team, they're hot on offense. The Bears are also hot right now. This is gonna be the game to watch this week. I think this has really drastically influenced how everyone views this division, especially for the playoffs, right? If the Bears lose or if the Packers win in a big fashion, if the Bears win in a meaningful fashion, like this will widely change people's perspectives of this division and these teams. I'm going to have to go with the Packers here. I think all of the receivers are playing right now, playing at a good level. I think Christian Watson has been playing really, really well for Jordan Love. And obviously you're still out Jaden Reed, which is like, I thought he was going to come back a little bit earlier, but him being still out with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson playing really well without Tucker Kraft in the offense, like that helps you guys a lot. Josh Jacobs still playing really well. He didn't score last week, but he had a solid game. The Bears on the other side, I don't trust their defense to stop that Packers offense as much as I do trust the Packers defense to slow down the Bears offense. And so for that reason, I'm going to have to go with the Packers, especially since it's at home. Maybe in a couple weeks, the Bears beat the Packers at their house, but I got the Packers winning this week. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, even though I picked the Bears to win the division, I'm still going to go with the Packers in this one. I think the key to this game is Chicago needs to run the football to win games. Green Bay has a really, really good run defense. I want to say that they're at least top 3. I know for a while they were number 1 in rushing yards allowed per game. So they're dominating opponents' rushing offenses. And, the offense, like I said, it goes through Menagai, it goes through Swift, and Caleb makes the plays that they need to win the game. But I think if they ask him to take the game on his back, I don't think that he's going to be quite able to do that yet. So give me Green Bay.
Mr. Who do you got?
Yeah, this is the tough one because I do like both of these teams as big rivals they are. This is definitely game of the week for me. Like I'm gonna be probably glued to this one, tuning out all noise besides this game. I think I'm gonna go with Green Bay, and it really just comes down to the pass rush and Micah Parsons. I think that kind of wins them this game. Chicago's defense, I think, is getting a lot of like narrative spun about it. Yes, they're like due for turnover regression, but they're also getting their 2 best cornerbacks back in Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon, and we saw what that did for them this past week. So I think when you account for turnover regression and getting healthy, they kind of are going to get a little better even rather than the turnovers regressing back to the mean, which they're bound to do. But I think both of these teams are on the ascent right now, and this could be possibly the game that decides the division, which is pretty exciting. I'm going to go with Green Bay. Like I said, the pass rush, it kind of just is the denominator for me, is the determining factor.
Like you said, Sterb, this is going to be the only game that anyone's tuning into unless you're a fan of the other teams. Only 3 games in that late slate are the Broncos, Raiders, Bears, Packers, and Rams, Cardinals. Like this is the only one that's really worth tuning into unless you're a fan of the other teams. Anyways, moving on, we got the Rams taking on the Cardinals. Sterb, as the honorary Cardinals analyst, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm still not talking about the red team. I seem to get assigned their game every week, which is just funny. LA, they're hungry. They're coming off a loss. It's not going to happen again. The red team, like they're fine. They're a little cute, whatever. You can have all your pass attempts over there, but it's not going to work against Emmanuel Forbes. All right. So give me the Rams. I think they bounce back in this one.
Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Rams, but I am officially off the defending their secondary train. They are back to being ass.
So. One more week, Ty. One more week. Come on.
What do you mean,
Emmanuel Forbes is ass.
Emmanuel Forbes is the no-fly zone of the West.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I'm going to pick the Rams here too, but yeah, the pass defense definitely scares me. And hey, maybe Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. go off. Jacoby Brissett's been hitting the targets well, and Trey McBride too. It's a very sneaky game for the Cardinals as a possible team to get an upset. But anyways, moving on. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
want to say something real quick. I think it's very funny that if you put together two of the three of Tez Johnson, Emmanuel Forbes, and Blake Groupie, you would get Darnell Washington. I just think it's pretty funny, and it might even add some weight there.
Yeah.
Yeah, those three guys, they're tiny. They're tiny little fellows, and you got to respect it. You got to respect the grind to get to the NFL at that size. Well, Blake Groupie a little bit less. He's a kicker. It's not really as impressive, but the other two, it's a testament. Anyways, moving on to Sunday Night Football, Ty. We got two really solid AFC teams, and the Chiefs are trying, get into the playoffs here. You got the Texans taking on the Chiefs. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think just the thing that we talk about week in and week out with the Houston Texans is just their defense, right? Like this defense, so ferocious, tenacious, like all the crazy words that you could think about. This team flies to the ball. I think that, Mina Khan's kind of talked about this on NFL Live. It was just the play to Tyler Warren in the flat where, most of the time, like 9 times out of 10, that's a first down. And Azeez Ashayer just flies to the ball and rocks him and stops them from getting the first down. It's like, that's just the mentality of this defense. It almost takes on the mentality of who their head coach is. D'Amico Ryans, right? He kind of played like that too, right? On a ferocious defense. Like they just fly and the offense does enough. They have enough talent. They're taking care of the football despite having a bad offensive line to put them in positions to win football games. KC is just they're on the decline. I mean, there's no reason they should have won that game in Indianapolis. They should have another loss. Like they should have 3 losses in a row. And just Josh Simmons going down does not make this game any easier for them because Wanya Morris is terrible. Like Josh Simmons was a holding merchant. Wanya Morris is awful. I had to watch him in that game, and I don't know. He's just. I mean, their tackles they all do some bullshit where they start back or they tackle you and they don't get the calls or whatever. But they just they don't have the offense to overcome the offensive line deficiencies and overcome the run game deficiencies. And then, even defensively, like they're playing fine, but they're not playing at a level that we're used to from the Chiefs. I'm starting to think that Chris Jones might be washed. Like he does not, he looks like a shell of himself. And it just is not the game record that he used to be. So give me Houston. I think the defense is going to dominate the KC offensive line and force Patton to maybe 1 or 2 turnovers. And then CJ Stroud will do enough, get Nico Collins when he marks the ball.
Sterb, who you got?
Yeah, this is the tough one because I feel like the Chiefs, honestly, I think compared to last year they're 15-2, but really 15-1 because they sat everyone in week 18. I think this team is like just as good, if not maybe even a little better. And they're 6-6 right now, which is crazy. And it just shows you like
delusional.
You think this team is like considerably worse than last year?
Defensively, they're a lot worse. Defensively,
I think their offense is better.
Themselves. They can't.
Last year, the run game was much worse.
I think they lacked the explosives that they did last year.
Offensive line was a lot better.
I'll say that.
Offensive line, they had Joe Tooney. That offensive line was a lot better.
What I'm saying is that I really, even if it is like a gap, so to say, I really don't think it's the record like shows how big or how small of a gap it is. I don't know. Until the Chiefs are mathematically eliminated, I don't want to pick the Chiefs every week. However, I'm 15 in the standings, and at some point, it's just like no one's going to remember if I'm finished 12th in the standings. Everyone's going to remember if I come back from 15 and beat Ty on that top spot. So I'm going with KC on this one. I don't feel good about it, and I will say I don't know if you want to cover this, but this determines our Jenks and I's bet for the Chiefs' record in this stretch. It was like an 8 or 9 game stretch.
Week 6 through week 14.
So yeah, and it was the over/under was 3.5 wins. So if they tie, we push. But I think I'm going to go KC in this one. It's just like with the Chiefs, I don't know. I got to see them like mathematically eliminated for me to pick against them. But it's not really a question of who's a better team right now. I think Houston's definitely the better team.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Texans here. I think their defense is playing lights out. Like I meant to say earlier, Kamari Lassiter had that one play where he blew up the guy. I don't know, Satan Still. I always get them mixed up for whatever reason since they came into the league.
They're both good.
They are both very good. But and maybe like the names are almost like anagrams of each other. I know that
Mhm.
they have there's like the N in the one, but I think I think the Texas defense is playing lights out. They're starting to get Nico Collins more involved, and like you guys have said, Woody Marks is balling out right now too. So give me the Texans. Chiefs offense, like you said, Sturb, it's not terrible. Their offense, especially running the ball, like they can get 4 yards every play if they run the ball, but they're not getting explosives out of it. So it's like they have to have long, methodical drives if they want to run the ball, and that hurts them when their defense isn't as good as it once was. But give me the Texans here beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. Anyways, moving on to Monday Night Football, we got the Eagles taking on the Chargers. The Chargers may be without Justin Herbert, but even with or without him, I'm going to have to go with the Eagles here. I think their defense will be able to slow down this Chargers team with a banged up O-line no matter what. They do have Omarion Hampton. Maybe that helps them out a little bit, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on whoever the quarterback is for Los Angeles. The Eagles on the other side, their offense is playing pretty well. They're starting to spread the ball out a little bit more. So give me the Eagles winning on Monday Night Football. Ty, who do you got?
Yeah, give me the Chargers. I think Herbert plays, and I think that their offense can do enough. I don't think the Philly offense is very good right now.
It's
Even if they
questionable, yeah.
if they get the ball to AJ Brown, they'll still lose. Like they can't run the football, and that's the a huge thing in the NFL. If you can't run the football, you're not going to win a lot of football games. So give me the Chargers.
Sturb, who do you got?
Yeah, I got the Chargers as well for kind of the same points that I just said.
Yeah, and it's a shock, right? I'm mostly surprised that Kevin Patullo is still calling plays for them. Like I'm surprised he's lasted this long this season after some of the backlash he's had, and especially with AJ Brown, like kind of bad mouthing the offense in public, like over and over and over and over. Like even to go like on stream saying to drop him in fantasy, like that's a wild thing to go out and say, especially like if you have an offensive coordinator that's struggling. But I like the picks. This gives me a great chance to catch up the tie this week. I picked a lot of different games, so I'm excited to see how it all plays out. Anyways, that will do it for our Week 14 picks. Oops. I don't know. I guess because Sterb,
Like, damn.
his Wi-Fi cut out.
That's what I get for picking the Chiefs.
Get out of here. Anyways, moving on to our rapid fire discussions for the week. Moving into our locks and underdogs snake draft of the week. Locks are worth +2, -3 if you get them wrong. Underdogs are +3, -1 if you get them wrong. We didn't end up doing one last week with the holidays, with Thanksgiving. We weren't able to figure out a schedule, and we ended up not doing one over text. So I'll base our order of who gets to pick where based off of the total standing. So Sterb is in the lead at 33 points. Ty is at 30. And I'm at 22 due to the -7 I had a long time ago. Sterb obviously had 2 back-to-back 7-point weeks, which was huge for him. So he's definitely at the lead right now. But Sterb, where do you want to pick?
I'm gonna go with the 1-on-1.
Okay, Ty, where do you want?
I'll go 3.
Ooh, okay. All right, I'll take the 2. I'm forced to the 2, but I'll take it. Sterb, who's gonna be your 1-on-1?
Cowboys over Lions. I'm picking Thursday night. That one's for Ty.
He's stealing it from you, Ty. That's messed up.
Son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. That was your underdog, right? I'm assuming you don't want to put him as your lock.
Yes.
I know you can. Okay, but all right. For me here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go Denver as my lock of the week. Sorry, Ty. Ty, who do you got at the 3? Or at the 3 and then the 1?
Take my team and take my Thursday night football, and that's all I needed. Give me up the Houston over KC. They are +150.
Okay, and then on the turn,
give me. I think I'm gonna go with the Tampa Bay Bucks as a lock.
Tampa Bay. Okay, yeah, that was my second lock on the board. I'll go with Seattle here as my second lock. I think they're bound to beat up on 9. Sterb, who do you got at your 2-1 or 2-3?
I'm locking the Rams over the red team.
Show them some fucking respect.
Sure. That's our frisky team of last year to you. Anyways,
no, I know
they were my frisky team.
I wasn't on the pod last year, but I did like them.
Yeah, but they've let us down.
Can't do it anymore.
Who's gonna be your third pick?
It looks so good until you have to pick it. But I guess I'll go with the Ravens over the Steelers.
A lock. I like it. That's a tough lock. It's an iffy lock
Yeah.
to make, but I respect it. My underdog pick of the week. I'll go with the Jaguars or the Commanders. Jaguars, Commanders. It is tough because I think both of those games are like, 50-50 coin flip, but I'm gonna have to go with. Oh wait, no, I said Seattle's gonna play. I messed it up. Seattle's gonna beat up on Kirk Cousins. And I'll go with the Commanders to beat 9. That's what it was. I messed that up earlier. I said 9 was gonna get smoked by Seattle. That was last week with Brosmer. But anyways, Ty, who's gonna be your third pick?
Yeah, this is an absurd lock, but give me Cleveland over Tennessee. The board is not looking great for locks.
He's getting down.
Lock. This is a big week for negative. Like there could be some negative points thrown out there this week. I could come back a little bit. I just got to nail, hopefully, my locks, and those are iffy as well. Anyways, moving on to our Hansel, so hot right now, player of the week. I believe Sterb said he has one, so let's move right into that.
Hansel, so hot right now. Hansel.
Anyways, Sterb, who's it going to be?
It's going to be Dak Prescott. Over these past 3 games, Cowboys are 3-0. He's averaging 314 pass yards per game, 3 total touchdowns, less than a sack a game, less than an interception a game. In fantasy, he's the QB1 with 23.3 points in PPR. I mean, you watch this guy, he's just throwing the ball all over the yard. And he's played pretty decent defenses as well, like Philly, KC in there. He's not doing it against, the scrubs out there like Tennessee or what have you on the defensive end.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Sorry.
Like in the offseason, I think everyone was a little guilty of putting Dak Prescott a little too low because of, the playoffs and he was being injured. Not Ty. Got to give him props. However, I had Dak way too low. And this guy is just so good in the regular season. And in the playoffs, he can turn that around in a matter of 2 or 3 games. So I just think he's a great quarterback, and he's a little overhated in the offseason, perhaps.
Yeah, I definitely had him. I think Ty and I both had him. I know we had him in the top 10, but I think we were both relatively high on him in our quarterback rankings before the season.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly where, but
I don't remember exactly where I had him, but we were definitely higher on him. And people, I mean, people were saying that he could be the MVP, right, with George Pickens, but I mean, like, it makes sense. But if you need George Pickens to make you like this better quarterback when you already have CeeDee Lamb, like, I think that kind of tarnishes the whole most valuable player kind of aspect of that award.
It's a narrative thing.
Yeah, it is a narrative thing. So that makes it a little bit tougher. But he's playing lights out, so I can't disrespect it at all. So. Anyways, I like the pick Sterb this week. Moving on to our fantasy sleepers of the week. Ty, who's your fantasy sleeper of the week going to be?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jacoby Myers. I think he's got a decently favorable matchup against Indianapolis this week. The last 3 weeks, 11, 15, and then 21 this past week. So he's only, gotten more comfortable in this Jacksonville offense. I had him, I just picked him up in a league. He was available, which is kind of shocking. Like, especially with BTJ out, with Travis Hunter out. I would have thought that he'd be rostered in most leagues as, their number one option. Obviously, BTJ coming back, but, he's still kind of cemented himself as a big option in this offense. And I think he's only going to continue to do so moving forward. So give me Jacoby Myers.
Sterb, what do you got?
Yeah, I think I might be stealing Jenks' 2 weeks in a row. We'll see. But I got A.D. Mitchell here. Like I said, he was probably my favorite. Not number one wide receiver in the 2024 class. My favorite wide receiver in the 2024 class. He separates pretty much an elite level for a guy who's not like a bona fide top 10 wide receiver. It was just always the catching with him and the fact that like he's kind of a knucklehead sometimes.
Jerry Jeudy.
Don't you dare compare A.D. Mitchell and Jerry Jeudy. But anyways, he's kind of like the de facto number 1 as long as Garrett Wilson is gone. And Tyrod kind of has improved the passing game, which is a crazy sentence to say. But A.D. Mitchell, I just think he has a ceiling every week that he's on the field and Garrett Wilson isn't.
Yeah, you didn't end up stealing it, but I do like that pick. I think he's really good, and I have him in a dynasty league, so that's a plus for me. Anyways, my fantasy sleeper of the week is gonna be Devon Vele. Last week he was 8 for 8 with 93 yards and a touchdown for the Saints. It was the first Saint to do that. So 7+ targets, 100% completion rate, and since Michael Thomas in 2020. So it's a good thing for the Saints. You know, him and Tyler Shuck have a really good connection. I think that continues this week against a weaker pass defense for the Bucks. So I think Devon Vele has a good chance to ball out again here. Moving on to our hot takes of the week. Ty, what is your hot take of the week going to be?
Yeah, I kind of spoiled it earlier, but it's Dallas wins out and wins the division. I think against Detroit this week, they got a really good shot, and that'll be 4 good wins, and they just keep rolling it and go out and win the division.
Sterb, what's your hot take of the week going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I have that as well, so that could be my hot take. But I'm gonna go with this is a tough one. I'm gonna go with like Kirk Cousins getting sacked 5 or 6 times against the Seattle defense, and it could be a situation where they put in the backup because Seattle gets like 2 pick sixes or something, like a Saints situation. Sorry to bring that up, Jenks. I know it's traumatic for us. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Kirk getting sacked a bunch of times against Seattle.
You think like you bring that up made me think of like Andy Dalton years ago, like 2 pick sixes or whatever it was against the Cardinals, and the guy back flipping or front.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that was
Some of the most iconic moments have come against the Saints.
yeah. The sad thing is that was like that's not even our lowest point. Like we've gone lower than that.
No.
Only like lower and lower and lower. It's not even like a up and down. It's just straight.
We could do a 3-hour podcast.
What did you say, Ty?
I said, what's the worst one? The Steph takes?
Yeah. No. The no.
Well, I mean, if you count the no call
during the Breeze era, it was the no call. But
yeah.
nowadays, yeah, it's the Andy Dalton was pretty rough. But it's
every time I see that, I just pull up the Tracy Porter pick 6 and I cry. Feels so good.
A little bit of goosebumps. Got to feel something every once in a while. Got to feel something. Anyways, my hot takes. I'm gonna rattle off 3 hot takes really quick.
Oh,
here we go. I'm just rattling them off rapid fire because when they come to you, you got
300 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Oh yeah,
and he runs for 3 more.
Tyler Shuck 300 yards is one, but he loses because I think Tampa Bay scoring wise they'll hold him to scoring, but he could pass because we don't have a run game right now. First of all, I'll just say that we don't have a run game, so they're relying on him passing. Myles Garrett gets 4 sacks. It breaks the single season sack record, and the Texans hold the Chiefs to less than 20 points and win. That last one, maybe it's not too hot of a take with the way their defense is playing, but I think the Chiefs' offense is playing a solid level, and the Texans holding them to less than 20 would be very respectable for them. But anyways, that will do it for our Week 14 picks episode. This ran a little bit longer than I think we were expecting, but good fun, good conversations. This is a good slate of games. You got to break them down well. And then the division picks, there's a lot of good divisional races right now. So anyways, that will do it. You guys know where to check us out on social media at Jenks Island and wherever you get your podcasts at Jenks Island as well. We'll see you guys next week.